Welcome everyone to From Here to There, where we have two speakers today instead of one on Pie Day. So thank you for the pizza pie on Pie Day.
You're
Appreciate that. Elizabeth and Gianna, you guys are co-owners. I don't know how the business structure works, so you can correct me if I get anything wrong. Just correct me.
Okay.
Adela does it all the time. So you guys are co-owners of the Meek House.
Yes.
Coffee shop in Redlands. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So it's not like we're the New York Times, and I didn't do a lot of research.
Okay.
But I couldn't find you. I couldn't find you anywhere on the internet as far as
interesting.
I could find your website,
Yeah.
the Meek House website, but the About Us or the story of how we did this is not on the website.
Because I erased it.
Yes, it says it's under construction.
Yeah, we had a little blurb and I wasn't happy with it, so.
Okay, so then here's my assumption. I just get to make blind assumptions then about how this. You were sitting at a family meal and you just had the inspiration to start a coffee shop, and the next month you had the Meek House.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
That's exactly
that's how
how
it happened. How did it really happen?
It kind of happened maybe long before we were ever even old enough to go to college. Our parents, my dad's a physics teacher who
Physics
teaches,
teacher?
yes, teaches at our high school, our alumni. And then our mom opened up a board and care facility for the elderly in Ukaipa almost 20 years ago. So we were very much a family that knew what it was like to own a business, run a business, and have it family owned and operated entirely. And so it was probably the end of my senior year where I kind of fell in love with coffee.
Senior year of high school?
Of high school, yeah.
Okay.
Senior year of high school, I fell in love with coffee, and my sister being 4.5 years younger than me, I would just take her around with me.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
And fill her up with coffee?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you had a 13 or 14-year-old just
Hyped up on caffeine.
slugging coffee all day long.
Yes,
Okay,
like
that's good.
the best co-pilot. And so it just kind of went from a hobby to this could possibly happen to a year out of high school, and
Wait now, let me interrupt.
yes.
The hobby was going around to coffee shops and filling your sister up with coffee.
No. The hobby was trying and seeing other coffee, like trying the coffee that's offered in other specialty coffee shops. So that takes out Starbucks, takes out Coffee Bean, takes out any franchise kind of coffee, because there's probably a lot more that goes into it, and we'll get into it later. But yeah, so that's how it started. And then a year after high school, one of my buddies actually bought the business that is now known Augie's.
Okay.
So Austin Amento and his family bought out Augie's, and so I got to talking to him, and he was a huge inspiration, and I was like, oh, this would be super cool to do later on in life. So here we are 8 years later, 9. And we have our own specialty coffee shop that is pretty much an inspiration of every shop around Redlands and LA.
So the obvious question to me is, didn't Austin, your friend who's working hard to make Augie's work, and at that time, I remember sitting in the back room of Augie's, and he and his dad would be brewing coffee, or
Roasting it.
roasting the beans on that giant machine on a spreadsheet. And I just remember being fascinated by their spreadsheet, because they were just collecting data on roasting coffee beans.
Yeah.
Didn't Austin say, hey, why don't you start a brewery instead of a coffee shop? Don't start a coffee shop in Redlands. What was that like for him?
I mean, yeah.
We're a coffee community.
Yeah.
So even with everyone around us, it's not a competition. We're all a coffee community. We all, I mean, they come by to our shop, we go to their shop. We all support one another. We're all local. So if anything, it's more that than just like competition-wise. Yeah, I mean, all of us, we all have different things that we bring to the table, but I mean, we're all still a community.
And so for him to say that, it was kind of like, that's cool, but I'm not into beer like that. So it was, it's just kind of a
So he
little
helped
nudge.
you along the way. He gave you advice.
So I would say that it's not so much like he helped us or, Wild Goose helped us or Stell helped us. It was very much, they are very knowledgeable people who do not believe in secrets. And so that's what's awesome about this business is that you can literally have a conversation over a cup of coffee and say, hey, what did you do in this instance? I'm having this issue. Is there, any advice you would give me? Is there something that you would do different? Hey, do you have a couple beans extra that I can buy off of you? Things like that, to where we're very helpful that way. In actually opening and building and starting out the business, no. Outside of knowledge, no, there's no hope.
So there's a period where you guys are tasters. You're just going around learning about the coffee community. And then you switch into thinking about opening your own shop and becoming sellers of coffee. Because that's one thing, you guys don't roast your beans, right?
We do.
Oh, you do?
From the new year, we have been roasting everything on our bar, from the drip coffee to the espresso so they're all the same beans, but we have started putting it on our drip, on our pour overs, so everything.
Okay.
I believe mid-July last year, we started putting our own beans on espresso and then keeping Wild Goose on everything else, just so that we can get kind of feedback onto how the coffee is, so that we can continue into creating it just all on our own as soon as the new year hit.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So it very much went to us being a wholesale account for who we choose, Wild Goose, initially.
Redlands company.
Another Redlands company, a very good Redlands company. And then saying, hey, from a business standpoint, this is working out great for us. However, because we have certain ways of doing business and wanting to maybe give a little bit more in one charity over another, or donating a little bit more time, or direct trading with one farm over the other, we might be a little bit limited if we stay with just this roaster. So how about we take on the roasting portion, which is a whole other beast in itself, and we can open up those avenues in order to reach more people overseas and here.
That's great.
So-
And that all just happened just in the last 3 months? in
3 months
2019.
where, we switched over from everything that we were buying wholesale to our own account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still want to back up to that transition into being a business owner rather than a consumer going around learning about coffee, because I'm fascinated about that. And I know that there are students in here, people in this room, who have a similar dream. So what were the logistics of how did that happen? Did you find a location first? Did you find an investor first?
You can
How
take
did all
over
that
on
happen?
this side. I'll let her kind of go into that part, because she was kind of
She was
one of
hopped up on coffee
the hunters, the location hunters.
So when we had seen the location that we are at right now, we thought it would be a perfect spot. We actually were looking at the property right next door, which is now California Fish and Grill.
Yeah.
Saw that was
A
quite
huge location,
large.
very big, yeah.
So then we had seen that one was taken and that the one next door was free. And so we said, okay, well, available.
Available.
Yes.
Not
Definitely
free.
not free. Available. And so we contacted the property management, and within, I think, a month or so,
A month, we came up with a
an entire
proposal.
plan, a proposal. We took it up.
What did your
and-
proposal look like? What were the elements in the proposal that you had to work out and think of?
So my father-in-law is actually a commercial realtor. And so this is like what he does day in and day out.
Okay.
And so he was very helpful in being able to basically decode the language of
Lawyer
these,
speak.
these lease agreements. So one thing that we looked at was price per square footage, and then what we also looked at was, because it's in the plaza, you're looking at price to manage the plaza. So it's not just your store. You are putting money into a pot to keep the plaza looking the way it looks.
Okay.
So there's an extra price.
It's like a homeowners association.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's called a CAM fee.
A CAM fee.
Um,
I can tell that you
yes, it's called a CAM fee. And that is a variable. And then we looked at time frame. And so most leases out there, you look at, 3 years with option for an extra 3, or you're looking for 3 years with an extra option of 5. We said, no, we'll go 5 for 5. So, we got them
Which
to,
is riskier.
which is a lot riskier. There's lots of other things.
So the proposal was largely about the price of this space.
Right. The price of the space, the time frame of the space, and then how you're going to what you're actually going to do. So because we're considered to be in a food court, there's a lot more laws we have to abide by, and that your income can come only from 2 portions. So coffee and tea is our 2, right? So coffee is 80%, tea would be 20%, and others, so pastry. So you have to
Pastry falls
be
into and others.
and others.
Okay.
So, say if we wanted to start selling sandwiches, no, you can't,
You have to find some other license that you
because
have to
there's actually no, unless another sandwich business from the plaza goes out, then we can start selling sandwiches. Say if I want to start selling like boba, no, that's not going to happen because there's boba.
Right.
So it has to be
Boba's
very
not tea?
specific.
It says boba tea.
Right, no.
No. Okay.
Good. No. Yeah.
I could still sell tea, however, I can't have majority of the income come from there.
Okay.
So it's very specific when it comes down to looking at a lease, and we did have a lawyer for that.
So when I think about this, and I think about what the students are doing often, they're making business plans just about every semester, right? This would fall under the limitations section
Correct.
of your business plan.
Yeah.
We are limited by
Yeah.
what we can sell. Did you create any sort of a business plan, or how do we make money off of this? How do we? Yeah. So talk about that.
That is also ever evolving.
Business plan is?
Yes. So we have a business plan, and that is to sell coffee.
It's a short business plan.
To XYZ, which X is usually students, Y is usually shoppers, and Z is businesses surrounding.
Students, shoppers, and businesses like employees.
Surrounding,
So those who are working within
in the plaza. And to target those people, the workers in the plaza, they also get discounts. So that kind of brings them to us a little bit more. What else?
So I do this all the time, but this is market segmenting, right? You've got 3. Thank you for that look, Adela. You've got 3 market segments that you're going after, and you just described what your strategy is to approach one of those segments, which was the
employees of the
employee
plaza.
discounts. That's what these guys do all the time, and they love us for it. But, okay, keep going. What else was in your business plan?
What else was in our business plan?
I wasn't at that meeting.
She's lying.
Okay, so I'm curious then.
Yes.
If I may ask, you guys were in your early 20s, I'm assuming, when you launched this.
It's only a year old. Yeah, we're still in our 20s.
So typically, people at that stage of life don't have the finances to buy or lease a piece of property in a very new, high-value Mountain Grove area in Redlands, which is snooty to begin with, right? So can I ask, how did you do that? How did you finance this dream?
Investors.
You found investors.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
It looks like anybody who is willing to support your dream, AKA our parents put a lot of money into it.
The physics teacher
Good old mom and dad.
and the entrepreneur.
So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to say just flat out, like, we don't come from money. We definitely come from hardworking first-generation immigrants who came to this country and said,
First generation immigrants from where?
yeah, Romania.
Oh, that's great.
So, so they came here and said, we want to build a better life for either us or, you know, our children. So our parents actually met here. So if you think about it, Romania was a very communist country. Sorry, history lesson.
Yeah.
Communist country, meaning the government controlled everything. They were also Protestants, so Christian denominations did not really exist unless you were either Orthodox or you were Catholic.
Okay.
So my parents were Protestants, which was like maybe like 5% of
Black sheep,
yeah.
kinda, of Romania. Yeah.
And so that was very limited as far as like what they could do. So you figure out in high school, what do you want to do when you grow up? And the high school is your college.
The
and
high
your
school is based off of what you want to do.
in life.
So there would be like an English history, there's math science.
They put you in a track. So at what age do you think you're put in this track?
13.
At 13, you have to know what you want to do with your life.
Yes.
And you're in that track,
Yes.
and there's really no deviate. You can't raise your hand at 17 and say,
No.
you know, I really found out, I've discovered myself
Yeah.
by touring Europe.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
So what track were they in?
So both math and science, yeah.
Math and science. Okay. And then when did they come to the U.S.? At what stage in life?
26 and 27 after waiting for the government to approve them a visa. So 8 years
Okay.
waiting
Wow, that's great. And they met
to
here.
leave. And they met here. And they said, okay, we're going to get a college education. And my mom went the business route. My dad went the education route. So, and then like literally built everything from the bottom up. So my dad talks about coming to the States with $20 in his pocket
The
and
shirt
spending
on
it.
his back.
Yeah. And
Living the
And
dream.
with his parents.
and
at the
spending
time.
it on like what? He said $20 on a sandwich for like
And coffee, probably.
yeah, and coffee. A sandwich, and I was like, okay. So we very much come from like nothing to they built a lot. So the sacrifice I think is huge.
Yeah, so what do you think that does to your brains when you know that part of where you come from? How do you approach starting a coffee shop? How do you approach applying yourself to your education differently because of that?
We definitely we try to live meek. I think that the name itself, and I don't know if that was going to be your next question, but sorry, I'm jumping into it. To be so young and to be in this industry that does require a lot of money to start up, I think naming it what we named it is a struggle that's every day for us. Not so much because it's like, oh, it's hard to show up, but it's hard to live out what you put out, if that makes any sense. So say our motto is stay humble, be kind, drink coffee. Stay humble in a coffee industry that's all about craft, specialty. I am unique. You have nothing above me,
And
right?
we are better.
And we're
when
better.
it comes to
What's your
craft.
order? like, and get out. No, that's not, right? Honestly, that's why we wanted to be different. Because, like, through our little research back in the day, you'd show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to order. What's a cappuccino?
Through your market research?
Market research back in the day.
Market research.
Sorry, I don't have a business background. I'm very medical, actually. I have a physical therapy degree, and my sister's a math degree. So,
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
but that just shows that you don't need a business degree to start a business, right? And so
We'll cut that part.
we'll cut that part.
Big added business school.
Just letting you know, you don't, but you do. Just being real. Anyway, next, be kind. So we're in customer service. Without customers, you have no business. So we're very much, majority of our employees are our age.
Yeah.
And so to speak to them in a way that makes them comfortable and makes them believe in your dream as much as you do, and makes them believe in your values as much as you do, which kindness is above all, is priority for us. And so that being our mantra is not only our shop mantra, but also our life mantra, which in essence is Meek.
So I started this part of the conversation just by asking, how does your background as second generation immigrants, seeing your parents and what they went through to make it and drive themselves, how does that change who you are and how you approach things? I would assume that part of that is not taking anything for granted.
No, not at all.
How does that affect, or what are the things that you don't take for granted?
There's a lot, I would say, when it comes to the business.
Definitely.
I mean, you have slow days, you have good days, you have complaints, you have praises. I mean, I definitely do not take any part of it for granted. I mean, we are now even roasting, and from the roasting perspective, dealing with overseas companies, families, you don't even call them companies, they're families, I think is a privilege.
Okay, so if I could go back to the name of the company, Meek, the Meek House. So obviously that there's a biblical theme to the word meek, and you mentioned your parents' Protestant roots. I don't know anything about you or your faith, but Jesus gives this speech on in Matthew, "Blessed are the meek." Was that part of naming the company the Meek House, or was it just happenstance?
No, it was very much the main reason. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, was very much the cornerstone of our company, of our business, and of our business plan. To continue on the business plan, it's a matter of serving others, and so I think that we are blessed by serving others, whether it's, through smiling, serving a hot cup of coffee, toasting a bagel, and the conversations that happen over that, whether it's between the customers or between like us and them, is definitely a blessing.
How do your values in humility, in kindness, how do you get to live those values out in your business, the business that you've created?
I think just humbling ourselves, because a lot of people, I mean, if they come in and they say, hey, that's a great cup of coffee, or just being able to be here where it's like we have started a business. I think just living the meek life is you are staying grounded. I mean, coming from a family that has worked so hard, everything can't take it for granted. So
in Redlands alone, we have so many great coffee places, and to even be a part of that is like, we're the underdogs, you know? It's like, we don't measure up to the years of experience that they have. And when it comes to roasting, I mean, I am so amateur that I work under the mentoring of another roasting company in Yucaipa, and so I think that just constantly asking questions and just constantly being hungry for more information, and not forgetting where we came from, and not forgetting, you know, our faith and our beliefs and what our ultimate call and purpose is what keeps us grounded.
Okay. We've got a couple more minutes. Is the professor here yet? Okay, so I am curious about this. You guys are sisters.
Mm-hmm.
There's an older sister, there's a younger sister. So how does that work when it comes to co-owning? So this will be good. I like this. So, yeah, do you guys have roles? How have you split up responsibilities? What happens when you blow up at each other or disagree about something important? How do you work that out?
Yeah.
to talk it out.
Yes, talk.
Calm, humble
talk.
voices?
Don't fight.
humble voices. I feel like my role has been to keep inventory within the coffee shop, and hers has been to be able to reach out to different communities. And she's actually just taken up doing the roasting right now. So, I mean,
it's very much divided.
Yeah.
Our parents are also involved. And so there was a time where, I don't know if you guys are like familiar with the Enneagram.
I think we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm a true 4.
Okay.
So don't put me in a box. However, also I'm very like by the book type A, number 1. So leadership definitely runs in my blood. And then I also, which sometimes may have a little bit of a control issue. And therefore, organizational things are very much up my alley. And so when it comes to like, okay, let's do this, 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 and this, let's look at it in this order and let's tackle it, where she'd be like, oh, but like, what about this? I'm like,
But I had this dream last night.
yes, but I have this dream. But then like the 4 in me is like, oh, butterfly, like, let's be creative. Like, why don't we paint that blue? And so it's, and then like if I say it, then it goes. But no, that is not how it works. She keeps me in check. And so when it comes to finances, we've passed that on to my dad, who's a numbers guy.
Bookkeeping and all that
Yes,
stuff.
physics. We obviously check each other and we look at it too during our meetings, but she'll do a lot of the in-house management, and then I work with a lot of the marketing, networking, and then roasting. So because I feel like in order to roast good stuff, I also need to market overseas and also need to find and research, and so that's up my alley. So a lot of it, we sometimes cross borders, but for the most part,
You
it's
found
very
a
much
pretty decent
a niche.
separation of,
yeah.
okay, that
Powers.
fits into who you are. Very good. Okay, let me open it up. Does anybody have any questions? Andrew has a question. Sorry.
If you could give advice to someone who wants to open a coffee shop, what would it be?
I think we talked about this, and I think it's very much location-based.
Definitely.
Find a standalone building and do whatever you
are
want.
able to purchase it and have any say
The
you would
say.
like in it, because
Landlords.
within a plaza, we have a landlord. So
Yeah.
what we place on our windows has to be checked by them and approved by them. What we, I don't know how much it went into our name, but it's also, if it's yours, it's yours. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you would like with it. You could place whatever prices you'd like within the building. You could do whatever you want.
So look at your limitations, but also as far as location, look for a standalone building, because I think that that's where a lot of our headache came from with the initial startup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Kaylee?
I actually have two. So one, I was looking at your store, and there were reviews, and I saw that there have been replies. So is that one of you are doing that?
I do that.
You do that? Okay, awesome. And then the next question I had was, how did you market or get all the customers that you have nowadays?
I think being new and in Redlands is very much a coffee city, period. And so they're always looking for new places. However, students in the area we're located between the University of Redlands and Loma Linda, and so we're right in the middle of both. And also being in that location, very much just foot traffic. Yeah.
Also,
at this point.
social media. Living in the age of social media, we put everything on Facebook, we put everything on Google, we put everything on Instagram. I feel like Instagram has been our most popular because people tagging us in posts or using hashtags to just say like the Meek House or something.
And word of mouth.
And word of mouth through that, it's helped out a lot. Yeah.
I think we've got to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. I could probably ask 14 more questions. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.